Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Saturday, December 15th, 2018. My name is Rich, and joining me once again is Bijan. How you making out?
I am fantastic, bro. Over the moon. I am done with finals. I am so happy. So for the next month or so, I get to relax and just chill, bro.
Well, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you, too. And I hope everybody has a fantastic, happy holidays. Whatever you celebrate. If you celebrate nothing, hey, good for you. Live life. Treat yourself.
Yeah, we're counting down the days. One more episode, I guess, before the actual day gets here. But yeah, it's all good.
Oh my God. I did not. We are so close to Christmas.
I know. It's crazy. I haven't got my shopping done or anything.
You just blew my mind. What? Dude. I must have lost all sense of time or whatever. Like, oh boy, I need to get on that, bro.
Get your shopping done. I managed to get out there. I went wheeling around the mall the other day. It was quite an experience, but we got some done.
Hey, you got to enjoy those, you get like the motor scooter things, or do you have your own wheelchair?
Oh no, it was, the mall chair. It was an experience. Even this very accessible mall was not so accessible when you can't fit through the aisles, can't reach the top of the counters. It actually was very eye-opening.
Yeah, I mean, mad respect to everybody that is disabled or, lives life in wheelchairs or any other types of disabilities, A lot of people don't realize, life can be difficult.
I got a little taste of it. I'm learning lessons. This has been a very interesting experience. Not one I care to repeat, but definitely one I'm taking to heart.
That's good, bro.
All right, so this episode, we are going to be covering ANW Junior episode 9. 9, not 10, Bijan, 9.
For everybody at home, I went to the gym, a few hours ago, and I started loading up episode 10, and Rich starts texting me like, hey, you ready? And I'm like, wait, it hit on me. I'm like, we might be an episode behind. What episode are we covering today? He's like, 9. I'm like, oh, no. So, yeah.
It came close.
I had to rewatch, go back,
Yeah, let's get into it. Actually, right off the bat, I got to say, this was a great episode.
Fantastic, bro. It's such a breath of fresh air. I really like this episode a lot.
And strangely, front-loaded. You mean, the 9, 10, and 11, 12 ranges were great, and the 13, 14 was kind of meh.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed all of them. Actually, I felt like the weakest point of the show actually was near the beginning. But other than that, I mean, one thing that I've come to realize that's very important to my enjoyment of this particular show is the storylines and, how much I can connect with these kids, And I just felt all these kids really engaging, like the athletes on this episode, really good stories.
Yeah, so let's look at the 9-10 age bracket here to kick it off. Right off the bat, very strong out of the gate. Logan Staggs versus Reeder Smith. I love this race. We got a repeat of it in the showdown. These kids were crazy fast, super good, super interesting. I like both those guys.
Yeah, they were hustling, man. And the one thing I really like is, in particular, Reeder Smith, he really went for broke on a lot of these obstacles, especially those I always forget the little basket obstacle thing. Whatever it is, he just jumped from one to the other without any laches or any kip ups or anything. He just went for it. And what a flawless method of getting through that obstacle, because that is a particular obstacle that takes a lot of time. So if you can actually do it properly, like he can, you can really make a big difference in terms of making uptime, or in his case, just getting way past your competitor. And I think this can really do wonders for him in the future if, the finals are, similar obstacles.
Yeah. If the spin cycles are in the later episodes, he's going to be near impossible to beat, because I don't know that we've seen anyone else basically one-shot their way through. So for those that didn't see it or don't remember, when he grabs hold of the first spin cycle, he uses it to launch to the next one. He doesn't take a backswing. He just goes from one to the next, to the next, to the dismount. And that's a huge difference in time versus most of the people we've seen.
Yeah, because traditionally, in particular with this obstacle, because it's so awkward and, you can't just kip up forwards, it's kind of like a sideways slant. So a lot of kids have to spend like a good 4 kicks just to build up the momentum to transition to the next flywheel. Or spin cycle, right? Spin cycle?
Spin cycle, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I have to imagine in the finals, we're going to get some kids that are capable of doing it a little bit shorter, but in all the cases, there's at least one kip, for each part. With this kid, he can just go through it using his momentum, always moving forwards. And that is a huge, huge difference maker, in particular with the course made for the 9 and 10-year-olds. So, I mean, he is somebody to really keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I'm sorry, Rich, but like his whole thing of being like, a trivia mogul in terms of everything, like, man, maybe he needs to come on our podcast and like test us. Everybody can realize just how dumb we are when it comes to
I don't know.
Actual ANW trivia.
I don't know. I was a little put off because he said the first person.
I know.
I'm not even gonna repeat it.
I had like tilted my head. I was like, huh? I'm like, first person to achieve total victory. I mean, we need to look up the definition of total victory, because my definition of it definitely would not have Isaac Caldiero's numero uno. How do you feel about that?
Mine either. I mean, some of it's debatable. I feel like that phrasing of it definitely falls to Jeff. Isaac is the first champion, the first winner of ANW. No one can take that away from him. But that is what he achieved, not the first total victory. In my mind.
I mean, I'm not going to start that debate again.
Let's start this controversy again. Let's dig this one up.
No. I think it all just goes down to your definition of it. So, yeah, moving on.
Yeah. But yeah, very, very cute kid, very identifiable. Like, how can we not with a little ANW super fan? But what
his first name is Reader, like, as a librarian, just after my heart, his parents are.
The next race was Penny Keenan versus Riley Macarthur, and 4-foot-tall Penny couldn't even jump to the I-beam at first. As like, what a jarring difference between the first race and the second race. And I don't want to get down on the kids, but wow.
Yeah, it was a little rough. I mean, it was one of those things where you just watch and you're like, ooh, like I don't give them much of a chance at all against like in the semifinals, but it is nice that they're shown, but I don't know. It was definitely the weakest point of the episode for me. It could have been one of those things where, for me, I felt like, okay, there's a difference like in terms of skill level between the boys and the girls in this age bracket. It's fine having the girls compete against each other, but it's one of those cases where I hope they skip through the girls competing against the guys, because I genuinely don't want to see a full run of just one of these girls getting demolished, so to speak. It's one of those things where I'm like, for the sake of the episode, let's skip these ones.
I was feeling that too, and they usually fast forward one of them, and they did again here. And Riley fell on the TikTok in her semifinal. And then they showed Logan versus Penny, which was great because Logan got a chance to shine a little bit. Got a little segment with Thomas Stillings, the Genie Ninja, as his trainer. Very nice surprise. But what was interesting to me was I actually did get involved. I mean, Logan won. There wasn't really much surprise there. But I was rooting for Penny, like, because she couldn't reach the spin cycle on the first try. And I was really rooting for her to do it. So, I mean, even when it's a clear victory for one, there can be those little victories for the one falling behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Unfortunately, she wasn't able to reach the second time either. But that was the whole other point. I was actually rooting for her to do it. So in the finals, we had a rematch between Logan and Reader. Logan was stressing out. He looked so upset and so stressed out. And then they had a little segment. I'm not going to play it this time. I keep doing that. Barclay calming him down. I thought it was another great segment with them, showing the value of having the mentors there to keep the kids on pace.
Yeah, and the mental aspect, especially with so many people watching you and judging you. I mean, here we are judging them,
Yeah, really.
It's one of those things where there is a ton of pressure on them, and for somebody that young, it's going to be hard for them to process that. And I'm glad that they do have these moments where, it kind of comes back down to a human scenario where they aren't just athletes or people on the television show, but they're real people, and not only that, but they're real kids. They're still growing psychologically and everything else.
I just remember getting really nervous going up for a spelling bee, and I can't even imagine the pressure of this show at times.
Dude, I used to throw up like before some of my games, like playing baseball and soccer,
Yeah, it's tough. And with the cameras and everything else, that's a big ask for these kids, and they all kind of pull through pretty amazingly, really.
Yeah.
The rematch was fantastic. I loved it. Logan went all out. Like, that kid left nothing behind. He just threw
That's
himself
all you can
that
ask
course.
for, man.
Like, I thought he was fantastic.
He went for broke. I think he knew, like, this kid that I'm against, going up against, clearly he's got a leg up on me when it comes to those spin cycles. So I just got to go for broke and try to make up that difference. And I respect him so much for doing that.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite races this season. I thought it was fantastic. Loved it. He couldn't quite do it, though. He ended up falling, trying to keep up with Reader on the spin cycles, right? Trying to do that similar, as transition as fast as he could. Just couldn't quite do it. Mm-hmm. So that meant that Reader Smith won that age bracket. So we'll move on to the 11-12s. Caleb Brown versus...
Sorry, just before you go ahead, I just realized, like, when it comes to the finals, that age bracket, the 9 and 10-year-olds, that is going to be a very, very strong bracket, because we have that one kid, the arms kid, that was, like, super fast. Yep. And then I remember we had, like, 1 or 2 girls in the age bracket that were very, very versatile as well. So I'm very curious how that's going to play out. I mean, all of the finals, there are kids that stand out for each age bracket. But I feel like 9 and 10, they're the youngest, and some people might be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, man, there's some really, really strong kids there.
It's kind of the opposite of what you would expect, because that's the age bracket I'm most looking forward to. That's the one I want to see who's going to pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really not going how I expected this season to go. Like, I really didn't expect to be this excited, and to remember, like you said, the Arms kid, Shawn Arms. I still remember that kid from how many episodes ago. I want to see how he does against Reader here. And some of the other kids we've seen. I know there's a couple more, like you said. But in the 11-12 bracket, we had a couple of good ones this episode, too. Caleb Brown versus Shawn Garlock kicks it off. Caleb trains with his brother Jonah, who we saw in one of the earlier episodes. He's the guy that really got robbed because of his episode placement, right? He went up against like the strongest one we've seen in this age bracket, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure that's the guy. And Caleb did this one no problem. He didn't even need the ledge, right? The guy was able to do the full wall. Like, very, very strong ninja who ended up taking the whole thing to spoil the end here.
Sorry, this age bracket was like the I felt like the least strong about, but their runs are really good and they're very proficient. There's my tidbit.
Really? That's funny, because I actually really liked, in the second matchup we had, I like Caleb Brown. I thought he was fantastic. Maybe not as compelling a story as some of the other ones, but the story I thought was made up pretty well by Enzo Wilson, the environmentalist helping to clean up the beaches in his community.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant like that matchup. So Enzo actually had probably I have 2 storylines that I really put as tied for number 1 in this episode, and very compelling. And yeah, Enzo's was definitely one. Why don't you break down for the listeners like what happened? But I was glued.
Yeah, so I mean, his story was that he helps clean up his community. They make jewelry from beach glass and things to help raise money. Promoting, trying to get rid of water bottles, promoting reusable water bottles in the community, putting up water fountains and things. Like, very, very hands-on, like not just standing outside with a sign. They're doing things and raising money and making a real difference in their community. I thought it was pretty great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And not only that, but it's a unique story once again. Like, we don't get a lot of stories like this on traditional American Ninja Warrior or any of the obstacle shows. So I'm really happy that, we do get unique personalities and storylines still. And yeah, as you said, I mean, there in the heart of it, actually trying to make a difference. And for me, it's very compelling seeing somebody so young really being so passionate about, taking on the environment and helping out. So it just makes me happy for the future and the younger generations, as a gruff old millennial over here, go Gen Z.
Elder millennial, yeah. Enzo Wilson. So it was Enzo Wilson versus Jackson Horwedel. Jackson being a fencer, but I don't think we actually got to see him do much fencing. They just kind of used that as his thing. Mm-hmm. They were both really good. Jackson had the lead, but Enzo managed to catch up, which kind of became his thing through the episode. They hit the wall at the same time, but Enzo ended up taking it home for that matchup. So then we had a very close matchup between Enzo versus Shawn. So Enzo, because he had won, went against Shawn, who had lost the first matchup. And he won that one again, another close match. All these close matchups just make it so much more compelling when you don't have complete blowouts and you're actually, wanting to see who's wins, see who can make the wall. That we had some interesting ones this episode. You're just leaving me hanging. You got nothing to say on these guys, yeah.
I mean, I was very happy for Enzo and everything. So there you go. I'm just so ready to talk about the next age bracket. I'm sorry. Like, all my mind's on that one.
All right. I'll breeze through the rest of this here. We've got Caleb versus Jackson. So the winner of the first one versus the loser of the second. Jackson fell on the flywheels trying to keep up with Caleb. He just couldn't quite do it. And in the final, we had Caleb versus Enzo. Caleb wins it fairly easily, with one of the fastest times of the season. So Caleb, who trains with his older brother, really pulled it off in the end. Very, very fast, very strong contender.
He's huge for his age. Do you know how tall he is? Because he looked gigantic next to Enzo.
He did, but I think he's 5'5", which makes me feel warm at heart to think that 5'5" can be considered tall.
So maybe it's an Enzo thing, because I don't know if it's the older age bracket, but I definitely know there's like people that are like 5'10", 5'11" on this particular show. Yeah, maybe Enzo was just shorter. I didn't really catch their heights. I just know next to Enzo, especially on the little ring toss, he looked like a giant.
Yeah, he did. So let's move on to the 13-14 that's got you so excited.
Yes.
We've got Allie Larsson versus Brady Engelmann to kick it off. I don't know. This one didn't really catch, a lot of these didn't really catch my eye. It's funny that it did for you. Allie fell on the flying shelf grab. Her nickname is the Aerialist Owl. It was a little tongue twister, which I thought was strange at first. I thought, for an aerialist that they're going on about so much, she doesn't seem to have much hang time there. But then we got to see her later, and man, oh man, she did earn that name. I guess I can get into it right now. So she's an aerialist, with silks and ropes and doing like circus type performances that were very, very difficult looking and very, very cool.
Yeah, her storyline was pretty cool, and definitely her first outing on this episode wasn't super promising. Like she did well, but like compared to the kid she was against, she didn't step up. I think it might have been a more mental thing, because as we can see, physically she has all the talent there. But once she shook out the cobwebs, I felt like she got a lot stronger. The more after she kind of actually stepped foot on the course and actually tried it once.
Yeah. In the next matchup, we had Gabby Romano versus Erik Ruist.
Highlight of the episode. Oh yeah, this was
really
awesome. Yes.
Well, the story or the race?
Both. This is why I loved it so much. So Gabby Romano, I felt, was such a star on this episode. Some people you always hear in wrestling and other personality type based entertainments that somebody has the it factor. And I can't explain why, but Gabby Romano really connected with me. She was so entertaining, and she really just seemed so personal and charismatic. And her storyline, the fact that she's doing all these crazy stunts with her family, and it's not only that with her that's likable, but her entire family's likable. It's such a smiling, happy family doing such crazy, cool things in terms of stunts. And when you think about her age and the dangerous stuff that she's doing, where it's not really dangerous, but you know what I mean, like stuff no parents would actually put their kids in, but they have the trust in her, and she has the knowledge of doing these things. What was it? She was lashaying, or not lashaying, but like, like jumping off of roofs and spinning and doing all these crazy things on high wires. Like, she's doing some really cool stuff, and always, it never became like, look at me, I'm cool. It's like, this is my life and I'm having so much fun. And I really found that so intriguing. And I felt like a lot of kids would really look at that and be like, whoa, that chick is so cool.
Yeah, she was very personable, very interesting story, especially like you said, a stunt family. They're all doing these crazy stunts. Parents are like in high profile movies. I think they said like
Jurassic
Park and
Yep.
yeah,
Fast and Furious. Like they're doing some legit stuff, man.
It was interesting though, because once they got on the course, Gabby versus Erik, they both Gabby got to the wall first, kind of at a more measured pace. It seemed slower than we've seen in the previous races, and then she wasn't quite able to beat the wall, and both competitors failed the wall 3 times, which I don't know, we might have seen that once or twice in Ninja vs. Ninja, but it's very unusual.
Yeah, usually I'd poo-poo this, right? Because I'd be like, oh, they're just not like standing up to the talent. But I felt it really compelling. I really liked the fact that there was all this drama in the fact that, Gabby made it first, but she struggled to get up the wall. And then I forget who was the boy's name. I'm sorry.
That's right. It's Erik.
Erik, yeah. So Erik, is next, and he kept trying. And you see this thing where they're both giving it their all and trying. And it was one of those things where, for me, I can at least see that Gabby was really, really trying to get up that wall, and she gave it her all. Like, usually by the second or third try, they've kind of blown out their legs, but every single time she really made a leap for it and almost grabbed the wall. So you're just rooting for her to get up there, and Erik also. But for me, at least, I was really rooting for Gabby. And it all culminates into this great personal story leading into the later episode or later runs with Gabby.
I guess. I don't know why it didn't pull me in as much. Normally, I would be all into this kind of thing, but I don't know. And it kind of got exacerbated a bit for me because in the next race, in the fast forward race, Brady versus Erik, Brady fell in the flying shelf grab, so Erik had his chance of redemption, and he couldn't make the wall again. So it's like, okay, so Erik's moving on to the final, not being able to do the wall twice, in his 2 rounds.
I was actually pretty shocked. I thought, like, Brady had that,
Yeah, me too. So, I mean, it can happen to anyone, right? It's all it takes is one slip. So it came down to find out who was going to the finals. We had Allie versus Gabby. And that's when we get to see the aerialist stunts that she can do. So both of these girls were very talented, like outside of Ninja, very, very accomplished for such a young age, between the aerial work and the stunt work that they could do.
Mm-hmm.
So Gabby got a slight lead and was able to beat the wall the first time this time around, which, I mean, I was happy for her, but I didn't get as thrilled as you would think. Like, it sounds like you probably got really into it.
Yeah, I got into it not only because, she made up for us, but also Allie really stepped up her game. She looked a lot stronger and was and she wasn't as timid. She was really like going for broke in this. Not to the extent from earlier, I forget the kid's name, but not to that extent. But she really like was also moving and trying her hardest. But the fact that Gabby was, always ahead and really showing off her talents, and then once again, the big question for me, at least, was, can she get up that warped wall, right? And she goes for it, and she makes it up on the first try. And it's that personal journey for her where she had that accomplishment, and I was just really happy for her. It might have been a thing where I was just really engaged by her storyline, and I was really rooting for her. But either way, I was very happy for her.
Yeah, I was happy for her. I enjoyed her story. I thought, like you said, she did have a lot of personality, so that was promising. We want those people to go forward. So that meant that Gabby versus Erik was the final, a rematch of the two, if you can't remember all the names we're throwing out here, of the two that failed the wall 3 times. They're rematching in the finals. And then Erik fell on the floating steps, so that meant that Gabby won by that.
Yeah, a little anticlimactic, but I was happy. I don't want Erik to lose, but I really wanted Gabby to win, if that makes sense. So,
right. I just felt like this category, in previous episodes, I think it would have been great. I think it would have been one of the highlights for me. I was so stuck on the Logan versus Reader matchups from the earlier age category, that how fantastic that was, that I couldn't, having the highlight at the beginning of the episode was really hurting me a bit, I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's understandable. It sounds like we both had different highlights of the episode, and that very much could, determine your enjoyment.
Yeah, but we both enjoyed the episode. We both thought it was a great episode.
Big time, man. Huge thumbs step up from the last 2 weeks, and I don't want to, disparage the kids on those previous episodes, but just the overall package wasn't as strong as it has been this episode and the earlier episodes, and I felt this was really engaging and strong. I really like the storylines for all the kids.
Yep, it was all good. Great episode. I hope everyone else enjoyed it too. All right, before we wrap up the episode, Bijan, do we have any 5-star reviews this week?
Yes, we do, bro. Yeah, so it is from 222 Productions. Oh, man, I feel like I've heard of them before, huh?
Familiar
somehow.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes, Will from 222 Productions. Huge shout out to you, my man. He gave us a review. I'm just going to read it verbatim because it's such an amazing, almost summary of our podcast. It's less of a review and just a summary, I love this stuff. So, for everybody, rolling their eyes, while we pat our backs just a little bit, listen to this. Rich and Bijan are two passionate men who are not afraid to share their passion with the world. And that passion...
Whoa, hold up. Phrasing here. So, I like Bijan a lot. Bijan's like one of my best friends.
Thank you, bro.
But I'm not sure if I'm ready to share our passion with the world.
It all depends on what your passion is.
Well, that passion is Ninja Warrior.
Yes, it is. And guess what he says? And that passion is Ninja Warrior. Every week, the two of them discuss the latest episodes of American Ninja Warrior, Ultimate Beastmaster, and more, while occasionally, interesting phrasing, giving them insider insights, both engaging and entertaining. The Armchair Ninja Podcast is an excellent source of Ninja Warrior discussion. P.S. They should get that William guy back on the show again. I 100% agree, William. What an amazing summary / review of our podcast. Thank you so much for the 5-star review and the shout out. Love it. Thank you so much. William from 222 Productions. Amazing YouTube channel, by the way. You get the 5-star review of the week. Thank you so much for your love, support, dedication, and everything else. And the kind words.
Yes, Will. Thank you very much. For those that aren't aware, Will has joined us before and will be joining us again in the near future as soon as we get that all lined up. One thing I do want to give him a quick shout out for is he has a channel dedicated to Ninja Warrior and Sasuke and all things that we love. And I'm going to link his channel trailer, his new channel trailer that he put out, which is fantastic. It's a 1-minute trailer, gives you a great idea of what his channel is all about. Has all your favorite ninjas. Lots of cool stuff on there. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's really good content, really dope channel. In particular, if you really like Japanese Sasuke and, some local competitions, he's really good at covering that in video format and great guy.
All right, so that is it for this week. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151.
Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
Peace, love, and happy holidays, everyone!